All right, let's just jump straight into this. Welcome to this quick 7-minute explainer where we're going to build a really wholesome, complete understanding of the biggest paradigm shift happening in tech right now, AI agents versus ChatGPT. You know, we hear these terms thrown around literally every single day, right? But there is a massive shift happening right beneath the surface. We are moving away from systems that just talk to us to systems that actually do the work for us. So let's dive in and uncover this fundamental shift from chatbots to true AI agents and figure out what that actually means for how you'll get things done.
So right off the bat, ChatGPT produces answers, whereas AI agents pursue outcomes. I really want you to anchor this core distinction in your mind. It's kind of like the difference between asking for directions and having a chauffeur actually navigate the busy streets for you. The first gives you useful information, which is, fantastic when you just need to know where to go. But the second, it takes actual responsibility for reaching the destination. You just sit back and they deal with the traffic, the detours, and the wrong turns. That taking of responsibility, that's the core gap we're crossing today.
To make this even clearer, let's look at the restaurant menu versus the actual meal. Think of ChatGPT as a beautifully designed restaurant menu. It's rich, it's useful, and it outlines all these brilliant options for your dinner. But, no matter how beautifully written that menu is, you can't eat it. Trust me, people have tried, it doesn't work out well. An AI agent, on the other hand, is the actual kitchen process that turns your choice into a hot-served meal. Words can describe the work, sure, but they are not yet work done. An agent actually bridges that gap between the menu and the meal.
Which naturally brings us to a fundamental question. Can it move work forward without being told every next move? You see, a chatbot lives mainly in the world of language. It takes in your words, it gives back words. But for an agent, language is no longer the finish line. It's really just a planning layer for action. Language becomes a scratch pad. So the ultimate question you've got to ask yourself about any new AI tool isn't just, hey, can it talk? It's, can it move work forward without me holding its hand for every single next move? Like, can it figure out step 2 all by itself when step 1 is finished?
And to actually move that work forward, an agent relies on this incredible internal machinery called the action loop. Observe, decide, act, check, and repeat. Instead of just generating the next sentence and then waiting around for your next prompt, an agent observes its current state, decides on a strategic move, acts on it, checks the result, and loops right back to the beginning. It asks itself, did that work? No? Okay, let's try a different path. It keeps itself in continuous motion until the overarching task is either fully completed or totally blocked by something outside its control. This loop is the absolute heartbeat of an agent. It completely replaces that static prompt and response dynamic with a relentless engine of persistence.
Think of this loop like cooking while tasting and adjusting. It's like making a complex soup. You don't just blindly dump all your ingredients into a pot, follow a recipe once, and walk away hoping for the best, right? No, you taste the broth. You realize, it's a bit bland, so you decide it needs a pinch of salt. You stir it in. You taste it again. Maybe you notice it's a bit too salty now, so you add a splash of water. You adapt based on continuous feedback. That precise act, observe and adapt process, is exactly what makes an agent feel way less like a rigid software program and more like a dedicated digital worker in your kitchen.
But why is this constant looping even necessary in the first place? Well, because of the messy real world. The moment a task touches the real world, chaos ensues. Missing files, API failures, outdated information, interdependent tasks. Simple theoretical questions can totally be answered in one shot, but real work cannot. Think about how many daily tasks get derailed by tiny friction points. Files mysteriously go missing from shared drives, APIs suddenly fail, or maybe a spreadsheet relies on 5 other tasks that just aren't done yet. Honestly, a huge percentage of automated workflows break simply because a website changed its layout by literally 1 pixel. A single, brilliantly generated text answer cannot survive this messiness. You absolutely need a system built to expect failure and maneuver through all that uncertainty. And when we talk about navigating that uncertainty, we are really talking about autonomy. Now, true autonomy isn't some sci-fi robot running wild and taking over the server room. It is simply responsibility per turn. It means the system shoulders the burden of executing all those messy, intermediate steps between your initial instruction and your final goal. So instead of making you micromanage every single click, download, and copy-paste, the agent takes responsibility for navigating the friction on its own turn before handing that completed objective back to you.
Think of it like a child riding a bicycle with training wheels. At first, you provide the instruction and that initial push. The bike handles the complex physics of balancing, which frees up the rider to simply focus on steering and looking ahead at the overarching direction. Well, agentic behavior is exactly the same for your professional workflow. The system isn't completely free to do whatever it wants. It's just carrying the executional burden of balance so you can focus on the bigger picture strategy.
Okay, let's peek under the hood to see what's inside an agent. There are 4 essential ingredients that elevate an AI from a simple reasoning engine into a fully coordinated system. First is the goal. This defines what success actually looks like for the task. Second is the model. Think of this as the brain that thinks, reasons, and chooses the path forward. Third, we have the tools. These translate the model's intention into physical action in the digital world. And finally, memory. This keeps the task coherent over time so the agent doesn't suffer from digital amnesia and forget what it literally just tried 3 seconds ago.
Let's zero in on those tools for a second, because this is where the magic truly happens. A brain with a notebook versus hands and senses. A model without tools is kind of like a brilliant office worker stuck in a windowless room with only a notebook. I mean, they can think, reason, and draft incredible plans, but they can't actually do anything. Adding tools, giving the system the ability to search the live web, scrape a database, run Python code, or trigger an email sequence, that gives that isolated brain hands and senses. It fundamentally connects raw intelligence to tangible action.
The crucial distinction here lies in separating 2 distinct phases of professional work, planning versus execution. We so often conflate the two, but they require entirely different skill sets. You see, ChatGPT is an absolute master planner. It's incredibly strong at figuring out what should happen, outlining the steps, and explaining it to you beautifully. But an AI agent pairs that sophisticated planning with relentless execution. It takes the plan and actually makes it happen. The output is no longer just a list of words on your screen. The output is tangible progress on your hard drive.
Now, the deeper lesson here is not that agents are universally better than chatbots. If you just need a quick summary, a brainstorm, or an email draft, definitely stick with ChatGPT. Don't overcomplicate it. But here is when agents add value. The moment your workflow involves multiple complex steps, requires external software, or demands active monitoring of changing conditions. When getting the actual job done matters more than just getting good advice on how to do it, well, you have officially crossed over into agent territory.
So before starting any new workflow, I highly recommend you ask yourself this simple diagnostic question. Does this task need one good response, or does it need ongoing action? Are you looking for an answer or an outcome? Answering this honestly before you even open up a new tab is going to save you hours of wrestling with the wrong tool, trying to force a chatbot to do a worker's job.
Keep this final framework in mind as you navigate the new AI landscape. The flashlight versus the headlamp. ChatGPT is a flashlight. It is absolutely fantastic for fast illumination when you're stuck in the dark and need a quick look at a complex problem. But an AI agent? That is a headlamp. You strap it on when you need your hands free to do the actual heavy lifting on the job site. One gives you momentary clarity, the other gives you the freedom of movement.
Which brings us to our final thought. Are you just asking for an explanation, or are you finally ready for execution? Now that you understand the mechanics of moving from words to completed action, I want you to take a hard look at your own to-do list for tomorrow. Are you spending your day asking for explanations, or are you finally ready to automate execution? Because the tools to move from talking to doing, they're already here. The only question left is, how will you use them to fundamentally reshape the way you work? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.